evil, a generic dark-skinned person.
And just be yeah, were they black/Negro? All right.
No interrupting, nothing.
Yes, when you're not speaking, like sa.neter said, mute out. And also,
The HOK is the toughest environment, and or at your own risk is the toughest environment. The HOK is the toughest environment. Yeah, stay strong, don't cry. It's the toughest environment. Yeah. No handouts here. You have to earn your respect. And when you do, you make they ass regret. They call it the toughest, and the title is earned from the bridges we crossed and the lessons we learned. In a cold-blooded kingdom, a concrete cage. Muslim, Christian, Israelites step on the stage. I dare you, I dare you, I dare you, I dare you. In a cold-blooded kingdom, sa.neter created. HOK, where you can't fake it. The HOK is where you fight back. No room for error, no window attack. It's a masterclass, how you handle the heat. Where the pedigree is written on the concrete streets. Toughest environment, yeah, we know the score. Locked in on debate and asking for more. The HOK is the toughest environment. Enter at your own risk, it's the toughest environment. The HOK is the toughest environment. Stay strong, don't cry. It's the toughest environment. Yeah.
All right. Peace and Black Power, family. Peace and Black Power. My Cash App works. I want y'all to know the Cash App works. So some type of love for the hardest working man on YouTube. Show some love for the hardest working man on YouTube so I can begin this powerful debate. Let's get it in. Show some love. I ain't get no ring yet. I ain't get no love yet. Let's show some love for the hardest working man on YouTube, family, so we can begin this debate.
Who wants to smoke? Who wants to smoke? Yeah. Who wants to smoke? Yeah. Temperatures going up, the heat is rising, scholars showing up, audience vibing. We on a mission, competition is the only desire. Whose information will be facing the mercy of fire? So step up, stand up, can you walk through hell? So tough, too tough for the weak soft shell. Set the fire, fan the flame, smoke is rising in blooms, while the inexperienced today just does the choke on the fumes. Bring your science, bring the wisdom, even bring your religion. If you can't stand the heat, then please don't come in the HOK. It's just a session, learn a lesson, fight and overcome oppression. Who'll be the best debated by the time all the smoke clears? Who wants to smoke? I want the smoke. This environment is the toughest, so bring your best in. Put your spirit to the test. You stepping into the ring with the scholar with the no digits harder. I will make you holler in the information flow with power. You wanted to peak, the elite, the undisputed. Now watch as your outdated theories get refuted. I'm posted in the den, let the world burn. Pressure in the room, it's finally my turn. They want the smoke, I'm the whole forest fire. Watch the oxygen vanish as the flames climb higher. My mind is the weapon, I'm no joke. I'm the baddest, I come for the smoke. No joke, I'm the baddest to ever breathe. I don't play house, I make them leave. Smoke session. Smoke, 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 smoke session. I want the smoke. Smoke, 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 smoke session. sa.neter, you better warn them. Who wants the smoke? Who wanna say that I'm not playing? Oh my God, sa.neter, stop playing with me. Now Paul, you better tell him, you better tell her now Paul. Stop playing with me.
All right, all right. Let me check the Cash App. Oh, ain't nothing come through yet. God damn. Y'all don't love your brother like that? Ain't nothing come through yet? Showing no love? 5, 10, 20? You know this was a paid debate, right? You know this was a fiery, powerful debate, right? Y'all ain't showing no love for my brother? sa.neter? The hardest working man on YouTube? Come on, man. You gotta do better than that, family. Come on. Shit is crazy how y'all do black people, man.
This is for my sisters trapped in religion. Wake up and free the babies. sa.neter speak the truth, he's on a mission. Yeah, the house of consciousness, the final call. Will your Bible thumpers wake up or just fall? The house of consciousness, the final call. Stop believing in fairy tales, especially Paul. I used to use the Bible like a lantern in the night, trying to wake up my sisters to the light. The house is closing in and it's a total mess. You ignore my wisdom, the ultimate test. Step inside the HOK, it's the toughest terrain where the truth hits hard. The cuts bring pain. I try to wake you with the word in my hand, to get you to the truth, to help you understand. I gave you the scriptures, chapters and verse. I gave you the keys to break the curse. I gave you Torah to unlock with keys. Break the mental chains and be the house of consciousness. Final call. Oh, your Bible thumpers wake up or just fall. The house of consciousness. Final call. Stop believing in fairy tales, especially Paul. Wake the sisters up, put the fire in their soul, taking back their story, gaining full control. Get your mind right, leave the Bible behind. The Bible is not your history, your soul will be hard to find. Welcome to the HOK, where the truth resides. No more hiding in the pews where the die. We speak against the Bible just to wake the inner sight. Come inside the HOK doors, we bring the light. The house of consciousness, final call. Oh, your Bible thumpers wake up or just fall. Stop believing in fairy tales, especially Paul. Don't stop, wake the sisters up. Don't stop, wake the sisters up. I won't stop, I won't stop, oh. Don't stop, wake the sisters up. Don't stop, wake the sisters up. I won't stop, I won't stop.
You know what? This is a damn shame right here. I'm going to let it play. I'm going to give it to y'all only because my people came through. But I ain't seen nobody in the chat come through with a donation yet to my Cash App. That's sad right there. Jabari, where you at? I want to see your name in this Cash App, Jabari. Where you at, brother? Throw 50 or 100 in the Cash App, Jabari. Let's go. So I can shout you out and let the people know, brother, that you do support Jabari Osaze. You know why? The reason I'm calling you out now, Jabari, because I got to tell you, the man you was going at, Kassad dropped 2 Cash Apps. Kassad dropped 2 Cash Apps between yesterday and today, just now. So I'm calling you out, and he's a Hebrew, the one y'all was going at. Jabari, I'm calling you out, brother. Drop $50 in the bucket, Jabari. 50 or 100. Because you know you the man. You got it like that. I'm getting ready to put G's in your pocket. Right? So let's go, Jabari. I'm going to go with one more song, and then we're going to get this thing started.
Oh.
Hey, where you at? Where you at? Where my people at? I need you to help me on this mission. Yeah. This is for my brothers trapped in religion. Open up your eyes, break out of the prison. This is for my brothers trapped in religion. sa.neter be the truth, you know he's on a mission. It's sad to see my brothers are so lost. It's sad to see you believe in things that's false. It's sad to see you believe in Jesus, where your logic breaks apart in 1,000 pieces. Oh, God killer, not gonna let that slide. You drowning in a myth, you had nowhere to hide. The HOK is the toughest environment. While we trade blind faith for mental empowerment. I believe in scriptures for your mind, this is the key. It's time to unlearn everything you believe. The house of consciousness, start looking within. That's where the real liberation begins. Oh, this is for my brothers trapped in religion. Open up your eyes, break out of that prison. This is for my brother trapped in religion. sa.neter be the truth, you know he's on a mission. The HOK is more than just a place. It's a tough environment where you check your faith. Bomb squad and pseudo killers who check your sources. Don't come in front cause you will leave for losses. The Bible written to break your spirit, built to keep you low, feeding you metaphors, stopping your growth. These is for my brothers trapped in religion. sa.neter be the truth, you know he's on a mission. It's sad to see my brothers all so lost. It's sad to see you believe in things that's false. It's sad to see you believe in Jesus, while your logic breaks apart in 1,000 pieces.
All right, y'all know I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna give it up to the people. This is what I do anyway. You know, I give it up to the people. I first see if y'all gonna show some love and donate. You know, I understand the hate is real, but there's a lot of love out there as well that people do support the House of Consciousness. Yo, Chief X, what up? Yeah, I hear you now. What's happening?
What's up with it?
I'm getting ready to go live with the video, man.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm getting ready to go live. Make sure you hit that Cash App, all right?
Okay. So, what you just gonna play the video?
Yeah, I'm gonna just play it. I'm not gonna do no ad lib over it or nothing. So, say that again. Oh, after it's over? I end it unless you want to come in and elaborate on something.
Yeah, no, well, just end it. I don't want to do all that back and forth with all them Negro.
All right. Make sure you hit that Cash App support. Okay. Peace.
Okay, so when the debate ends, you will also play the end when people are going back and forth?
No, I'm not gonna play none of that. I'm just playing the debate. That's not on this video. That's not gonna be on the video.
Okay, cool.
All right, peace, brother. Don't forget the Cash App. Gotta keep telling black people, man. Gotta let people know, man. You know? Shit, this is what I do. This is my job. I gotta eat. Omar Muhammad, I don't see your name nowhere on the Cash App, brother. And you ducked Jabari yesterday. You ducked Jabari. You supposed to have came in the building, bro. You were supposed to be in the building, my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Hello?
Yo, God Energy, what up?
Peace, brother.
I'm getting ready to press play on the video with you and Chief X.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
We gonna do a panel afterwards or something?
No. Nah, we ain't gonna do a panel afterwards. I just asked him. He said he don't want to do it. So now, if it's just y'all two, yes. He said he don't want to be up there with a lot of Negroes. But if it's just y'all two, I think we can work something out.
I mean, I was just asking just so I know, but if you were just letting me know that it's premiering, then that's cool.
Yeah, that's all.
Just letting the video be the video.
Yeah, I was just letting you know it's premiering.
Okay. All right. I'm about to tune in.
All right. You know what? I might start it over. I might start this over and just create a new stream because I played some music, so I might just start it over.
People already in there. They
I know.
already in there, then you might.
All right. I got you. All right. All right, y'all. So y'all ready for this? Man, y'all, I'm gonna tell you something. Y'all better be lucky that I do this for the people, man. For real. But I'm gonna tell you something. When I do that Reggie and Jabari, shit, that's going in the safe for real.
Who wants to smoke? Who wants to smoke?
Yeah.
Who wants to smoke?
Yeah.
Temperatures going up, the heat is rising, scholars showing up, audience vibing. We on a mission, competition is the only desire. Whose information will be facing the mercy of fire? So step up, stand up, can you walk through hell? So tough, too tough for the weak soft shell. Set the fire, fan the flame, smoke is rising in blooms. While the inexperienced today just does the choke on the fumes. Bring your science, bring the wisdom, even bring your religion. If you can't stand the heat, then please don't come in the HOK. It's just a session, learn a lesson, fight and overcome oppression. Who'll be the best debated? By the time all the smoke clears, who wants to smoke? This environment is the toughest, so bring your best in. Put your spirit to the test. You stepping into the ring with the scholar with the no digits harder. I will make you holler in the information flow with power. You wanted to peak, the elite, the undisputed. Now watch as your outdated theories get refuted. I'm posted in the den, let the world burn. Pressure in the room, it's finally my turn. They want the smoke, I'm the whole forest fire. Watch the oxygen vanish as the flames climb higher. My mind is the weapon, I'm no joke. I'm the baddest, I come for the smoke. No joke, I'm the baddest to ever breathe. I don't play house, I make them leave. Smoke session. Smoke, 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 smoke session. I want the smoke. Smoke, smoke, smoke session. sa.neter, you better warn them. Who
something happens in your home. But
Yeah, you got to
we
get up,
want
go to
your
the
camera.
bathroom. You can turn it off, go to do what you do. And so without any further ado, Nepal, you got it.
And we have this debate is for the record. Let's, sa.neter, you say the title because I just want to have it said.
Oh, the title. Damn, Nepal, you put me on the spot just now.
Were the Moors? Come on.
Were the Moors who conquered Spain black and Negroid people?
There you go. That's
God
it.
Energy. Is that right? That's the title.
Yes, that's it.
I'm going to ask God Energy, sa.neter, just so they can be on the level.
Yeah, were they black/negroid, black and or negroid? Any interpretation of the word of this statement?
Okay, great. So God Energy will be leading because he is the challenger, I believe. We've decided that backstage. So we will go ahead and have God Energy. I'm going to let you know. I'll start your time for your 3-minute opening. When you
2 minutes.
2-minute opening.
Okay, 2-minute opening. My bad. A 2-minute opening. When you start speaking, I start your time. I'll come in when you have 1 minute left and let you know you have 1 minute. Okay. So when you start speaking, your time will begin. Any questions from the debaters before we get this going?
No, ma'am.
Nope.
All righty. God Energy, I'm muting out and you start speaking and your time will begin.
All right, so getting right into it, the Moors were undoubtedly a group that became and still are associated with mixing, right? But their undeniable origins, the ruling class, and the historical definition of the Moors were firmly rooted in a black and or Negro identity, right? The depictions from the Chansons de Geste tales illustrate William of Orange defeating the giant Saracen, right? Who is clearly depicted as black and or Negro in the late 7, early 800s, right? Cardinal Wolsey, Prime Minister of King Henry VIII in the 16th century, is quoted describing Ludovico, the Duke of Milan, being called Moor because of the blackness of his skin. So the racial, ethnic, and cultural identity that has been painted in galleries, etched in heraldry, proclaimed in poetry, described in works of fiction, and preserved in historical documents is somehow now called into question, right? That questioning is a product of a modern digital sanitizing of the topic of the Moors of Spain and their identity, right? So consensus-based editing still contains the bias or historical lens, right, of those forming the consensus, which is why simply appealing to authority is a fallacy. So to clear up the questioning or outright misrepresentation of the Moorish demographic, we will take a more granular look at the Moors, right? We will focus specifically on the Moors who invaded Spain, specifically the Almoravids, and to the original Umayyad expansion, and specifically the individuals that history remembers as the Moors who invaded Spain. And just to clear this up, I don't support the Moorish Science Temple claim that these are direct ancestors of ours. And just because I am defending the ethnic demographic of these people doesn't mean that I discount or exonerate them from the negative impact that they may have had on West Africa in general as well. We are here to talk about if they were black.
Thank you so much, God Energy, for that opening. Moving right on to Chief X. Please mute your mic, God Energy. Chief X, you have 2 minutes to give us your opening. When you start speaking, your time begins.
Is my screen shared?
I see myself. You can click me out. Okay, now we see Google. So yes, your screen is sharing.
Okay. So real quick, we have to define the term Moor because Moor means something different depending on who's using it, what time period, and things like that. The debate topic is, were the Moors who conquered Spain, aka the Iberian Peninsula, black Negroid people? We're not talking about heraldry. We're not talking about Othello. We're not talking about European medieval periods. We're talking about the specific people who conquered Spain, aka the Iberian Peninsula, and developed a beautiful culture called Al-Andalus. So real quick, the term Moor has never clearly been defined, never clearly defined a specific ethnicity or race, but rather serves as a shifting, often pejorative designation for Muslims, North Africans, and dark-skinned people in Europe across different historical periods. Different historical periods are not all periods that who conquered Spain, right? Ancient period, right? Yeah, the Middle Age period, religious and political. Yeah, the Renaissance and early modern period, people used it for different things, but in the 16th and 17th century, the meaning became increasingly vague. We're not dealing with vague terms today. We're specifically talking about the people who conquered Spain, the Iberian Peninsula. We're not talking about Othello and Blackamoors, as you see here. Okay? We're not doing none of that. We're not talking about Blackamoors, who can be jewelry and art. We are very specific. So in summary, Moor has meant in succession a North African Berber and Roman, Muslim occupier of Iberia medieval, a generic dark-skinned person, Muslim Renaissance, and a mixed Arab Berber inhabitant of North Africa.
Time. You can finish your sentence.
Yeah, so it just meant different things in different time periods from different people.
Thank you, Chief X, so much. We can go right. Thank you to both the debaters for those openings. We were clear on your premise, and we will now go into the 3 rounds. Got energy. You have 15 minutes for your first round. You will be, when you start talking, your time begins. I will come in at 14 minutes. That will let you know that you have 1 minute remaining when I let you know that. sa.neter is handling the screen share, correct?
Yes. So sa.neter, I guess, will let me know when he's ready.
Exactly.
All right.
And when you start speaking, your time will begin.
I forgot all about that.
Thank you, everyone who's here.
All right, we good?
Got energy? You're muted. You're muted, brother. Got energy.
I'm here.
Okay.
All right, let's get it.
Is it all good? You see your slides, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when you start speaking, I'll start your 15 minutes. I'll be back at 14 minutes to let you know you have a minute remaining.
Okay. So this is from the Oxford Encyclopedia of Islamic World in the Oxford Islamic Studies Online. The origins of the term remain elusive. Its derivation from the Semitic etonym Morium, people of the West, is questionable, and the Arabic al-Mar is extremely rare and does not occur in Andalusi Arabic sources. Moroi is late Greek and may have been derived from the Latin ethnic name Mori, both meaning dark ones, which is the accepted etymology for the term, following the destruction of Carthage in 146 BCE. The term Mori was used to indicate the tribal inhabitants inhabiting the Roman province of Mauritania, corresponding to modern-day Western Algeria and northeastern Morocco. Next. The Moors do not constitute a well-defined ethnic group, and unlike the Mongols, they do not represent a clearly identifiable tribal confederacy. They were not a monolith. They are rather a large and diffuse ethnic group consisting primarily of sub-Saharan Africans. I repeat, consisting primarily of sub-Saharan Africans, Berbers, Arab Bedouins, and landed Arab elite. In most writings on the Moors, darkness of skin has been applied as a characteristic. So they were primarily sub-Saharan Africans. But let's talk about the Berber and Arab portion of their demographic, since that's where we know this conversation is headed. Next. So this is from Fear of Blackness, Part 2 by Dana Marniche. The main Berber dynasties in Spain, including the Almorávidum or Almoravids, composed mainly of two veil-wearing Tuareg tribes of the Western Sahara, the Masufa and the Lamtuna, now as the Almeden Tuareg of Nigeria, and the Godala or Gaitulis, used in later times for the Fulani of the Sahara or Beni Warith, Sanhaja. And the other dynasty was the Almoahidun or Almohads of Masmuda and Mandi, I repeat, Mandi or Mandinka origin between the 11th and 13th centuries. Next. So the Almoravids are these Lamtuna and Sanhaja, right? According to the Muslim conquest and settlement of North Africa and Spain, the tribes of Bakar bin Wa'il settled the whole of Elvira and Calavera in Spain, while the Taglib bin Wa'il inhabited Priego. The clan of Matru, also of the Bakar, settled 100 kilometers northwest of Granada, right? So the tribes Banu Bakar included the Shaibam or Saiban mentioned in early text of Yemen as Batan or clan of Mada, a people of Oman and Hadramaut. So the Mada, who represent this Bakar, right, as mentioned in previous articles, are described in Arabia as a people tall and dark brown and fuzzy haired, who claim to have come from remote times from Africa. So this Bakar clan claims they come from Africa. They were described as dark brown and have fuzzy hair. Next. And wouldn't you know, Abu Bakr ibn Umar was a member of the Banu Turgat, a clan of the Lamtuna. Those Lamtuna we just described as tall and dark. And look at his description. His uncle Yahya ibn Ibrahim was the chieftain of the Lamtuna, who together with the Maliki scholar Abdallah ibn Yasin launched the Almoravid movement in the early 1040s. Right? So the Bakar clan were described as being tall and dark-skinned. We see from this Portolan chart here from Messia de Villadestis, it's labeled Rex Bubekar or King Bubekar. So these Lamtuna Berbers seem to be a tall, dark, black-skinned people, specifically the Bakar clan where Abu Bakr descends from. Next. And from that Portolan chart, the rectangle clearly sees the labeling Rex Bubekar, showing this extremely jet black individual going to visit Mansa Musa, which is often compared to a different Portolan chart with an unnamed ambassador. But I want you to notice that the Portolan chart depicting Rex Bubekar clearly has the individual labeled. So the very Almoravid leader who invaded Spain is this dark-skinned individual. Next. Very specifically, Yusuf ibn Tashfin, another Almoravid leader, was the Sanhaja leader of the Almoravid Empire. He co-founded the city of Marrakesh and led the Muslim forces in the Battle of Sagrajas. And Yusuf ibn Tashfin was described as dark of skin, thin and ascetic in his dress, but mighty in command by Ibn Khaldun in Kitab al-Ibar. Next. So, early descriptions of the Central Arabian tribesmen who comprised the Moors of Spain. And we see right here, this Barabish man. And as mentioned above, right, the ancestors of the Barabish were claimed to be the Lamtuna. So along with the physical depiction of Abu Bakr, we can clearly see here the morphology associated with those Lamtuna and Bakr tribes. Next slide. And it says here, Tuareg seem to reappear as Lamtuna and Sanhaja, Jedala, Mesufa, and Lemta. The Tuareg claim that Lemtuna was the mother of their race. Pierre Charles de Fauclade, in his dictionary of Ahagar dialects, notes that the legend includes a sister of Lemtuna, who was the mother of most of the Berber tribes of Morocco, and particularly of the Barabish, right? So even their oral traditions about their origins say that these Barabish peoples that were just depicted are of Lamtuna and Sanhaja origins, the same as Yusuf ibn Tashfin and King Abu Bakr, the Almoravid leaders. Next. So their ancestry, we have here a rare deep-rooting DO African Y chromosomal haplogroups and its implications for expansion of modern humans out of Africa by Haber and others. What this details are the basal African haplogroups of A, B, DE, E, and DO. And it talks about their origins and them being planted within Africa, with the out of Africa group being haplogroups C, D, and FT. So the E haplogroup is a basal African haplogroup. Next slide. The Moors and the Mori ancestral legacy and genetic continuity in North Africa. This is from em81.org. The Y-DNA Berber marker haplogroup EM81, right, known as E1B1B1B or EZ827, is considered the defining paternal lineage of Amazigh populations. It is found in 80 to 95% of Y chromosomes in some Amazigh groups, like the Mozabites, Middle Atlas Berbers, and certain Tuareg clans, 40 to 60% in Arabized populations of Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Remember, these populations were Arabized, not Arabs themselves. Next. So it says the story of North Africa began well before history, right? The region's earliest known culture, the Ibero-Maurusians, appeared around 22,000 years before present and is best known from sites like Tafarot in northeast Morocco. This is the north. We're not talking about southerners on the sub-Saharan border. So skipping down, it says Y-DNA haplogroup EM78, and they have an mtDNA haplogroup of U6A and M1B. Moving along, by 10,000 years before present, the Capsian culture replaced the Ibero-Maurusian traditions across modern Algeria and Tunisia. Capsian peoples are believed to have spoken an early Afro-Asiatic language that likely the ancestor to Tamazight, the Amazigh linguistic family. So these Capsians are also the linguistic forefathers of these Amazigh peoples that we're talking about. The 7th century CE saw the rise of Islam and the expansion of the Arab Caliphate into North Africa. The Muslim conquest of the Maghreb occurred between 647 and 709 CE, during which the Arab Umayyad encountered both Byzantine garrisons and fiercely independent Amazigh tribes. Next. And these tribes are represented by the Lamtuna and Sanhaja, who we saw what they look like. So craniometric data from 7 human groups were subject to principal component analysis, which allies the early Holocene population at Gobi with mid-Holocene mectoids from Mali and Mauritania. Gobi and with late Pleistocene Ibero-Maurusians and early Holocene Capsians from the Maghreb. So the people at Gobi, the mectoids of Mali, the Ibero-Maurusians, and Capsians from that principal component analysis all share affinity with each other. They look the same. They were related to this. They were related to each other. The striking similarity between these 7 human group populations confirms previous suggestions regarding their affinity. Next slide. And based on dental evidence, Joe D. Irish of Liverpool John Morse University suggests sub-Saharan West African affinities for the Kithians. Those are the people at Gobi. So we've just now made synonymous sub-Saharan Africans, the Kithians of Gobi, Ibero-Maurusians, Capsians, and those mectoids. So it says, suggesting that the common ancestors of West African and Proto-Bantu peoples may have originated in the southwestern region of the Sahara amid the Kiphian period at Gobi. So the sub-Saharan African is the Saharan African, the Maghrebi African. And these Maghrebi Africans migrated into those lands to become what you call the sub-Saharan African, but they are one people. And it says that they migrated southward from the Sahara into various parts of West Africa. Example, Benin, Cameroon, Ghana, Niger, and Togo. Next slide. This is one continuous narrative. Pleistocene North African genomes link Near Eastern and Sub-Saharan African human populations. So let's look at the genetics of those Ibero-Maurusians. It says we find that all males with sufficient nuclear DNA preservation carry Y haplogroup E1B1B1A1, right? And the East African population, this haplogroup occurs most frequently in present-day North and East African populations. The closely related E1B1B1B haplogroup has been reported for Epipaleolithic Natufians and pre-pottery Neolithic Levantines. It says unsupervised genetic clustering also suggests a connection of Taphorot, those are the Ibero-Maurusians, to the Near East. The three major components that comprise the Taphorot genome are maximized in the early Holocene Levantines, those are the Natufians, but the other two are East African hunter-gatherers like the Hadza. These are basal African peoples from North and Central Tanzania. The other component is West Africans, right? So these Ibero-Maurusians of Taphorot, these North Africans, 2/3 of their genetic lineage is from East African hunter-gatherers like the Hadza. These are Click-speaking peoples of the A haplogroup related to the Khoisan peoples. It doesn't get more African than that. The other component is straight West African, those sub-Saharan Negroes that Chief X says shouldn't be in their genomes. But in contrast, present-day North Africans have smaller sub-Saharan African components with minimal Hadza-related contribution. So this right here documents a genetic discontinuity from the modern-day Arabs that Chief X says were always there versus the ancestral Amazigh people that all of the genetic evidence is proving. The ancient North African was way more Negroid, way more sub-Saharan African, and it says these are the ancestors of the Moors. Next. So it says, Black Morocco, a history of slavery, race, and Islam. And it says, Balad as-Sudan was also used randomly to refer to all Black Africa. Another example being that of the 10th century Iraqi scholar and bibliographer Muhammad ibn Nadin. He says the races of Negroes are the Nubians, the Beja, the Zagawa, the Murawa, the Istan, and Berbers. I repeat, the races of Negroes. So the source right here already says these Berbers are those Negroes that should not be there. And this is a book about Moroccan slavery, which I know my opponent is partial to. The races of Negroes include the Maroi, the Nubians, the Beja, the Istan, and the Berbers. Next. Despite it being commonly believed that the Horitan are entirely descended from sub-Saharan slaves, they in part descend from a group native to southern Morocco. Their Blackness is not from slavery and the northern Sahara. French academic Andre Adam attributed their origin mostly to inhabitants of the Sahara.
Time. Thank you. Thank you so much for that first round, God Energy. We are going to move over to your opponent. Please mute out. God Energy, Chief X. I do want to say to both debaters, I didn't say this in the beginning. I haven't seen anybody in the chat, but there's no chatting from the debaters in the chat. Just letting you know that. Sorry I didn't say that at the beginning. So Chief X, we're all muted out. When you share your screen and start speaking, your 15 minutes begin. I will come in and let you know you have a minute remaining.
All right. 1 second. Let me know when you see my screen.
Your screen is showing you're sharing Google.
Yeah.
And when you start speaking, your time begins.
Okay. So we're talking about the Iberian Peninsula that became the beautiful nation called Al-Andalus. I just want to define what Al-Andalus is. Al-Andalus refers to the medieval Muslim-ruled territory of Iberian Peninsula, which is basically modern-day Spain and Portugal, right? Between 700 and 1492 AD. We're not talking about no 80,000 haplogroups and no Pleistocene area and Ibero-Marusians and Kithians and Proto-Bantus. We're talking about what the title says, who were the people who conquered Spain, Iberian Peninsula, black or Negroid people. That's it. No confusion. Let's make this real, very simple. The Umayyad dynasty, 661 to 715, was of Arab descent from Mecca Quraysh tribe, but they became predominantly what? Syrian based. The Umayyad dynasty were the initial dynasty to conquer Spain, aka the Iberian Peninsula. Who were they? Syrian based people. Negroids, black folk, are not Syrian-based people, and we're not from Damascus, right? They relied on what? Syrian troops and elites to rule, making Syria the central power base of the empire. The Umayyad dynasty were the initial people to conquer Spain, Iberian Peninsula. Not no Kithians, Proto-Bantus, and all this nonsense. Black folk are not Syrians. Okay? Key details about the Umayyads, right? The Umayyads, Banu Umayyad, were a prominent clan of Quraysh tribe from Mecca in the Arabian Peninsula. We are not Arabian people. Stop it. Stop the lies and the miseducation, right? Muawiyah, the founder of the dynasty, was a long-time governor of what? Syria. And he used Syrian army to secure the caliphate. The power base, Syrian, became the political and military center of the empire. The state relied heavily on what? Syrian Arab troops to expand the caliphate and maintain control. Not black folk, not Negroids. It was a Syrian-influenced dynasty in where? Cordoba. Where's Cordoba? Spain. What is this young buck talking about? What is all that blabber he's miseducating you with? Taking you back 50,000 years when we're talking about 711 to 1492. Cut the crap. Let's go. Right here, it also tells you about the Umayyad dynasty. Were a hereditary Muslim dynasty based in Damascus. Not sub-Saharan Africa. Damascus is in Syria. Guess what it's by? Iraq, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. It's West Asia. Don't let him fool you. The Umayyad Caliphate dynasty. This is not rocket science. People can trick you all day long. Nothing about this is sub-Saharan Africa. He got to telling you that that the Arabian dynasties was sub-Saharan Africa. Did you guys hear him? Capital, Damascus. Official language is Arabic. Arabs brought Arabic to sub-Saharan Africans, not the other way around. Are we clear? Now, let's go. What I did here, because people didn't think to do this, was I clicked on Moorish leadership in Spain, aka Al-Andalus, from 711 to 1400s. Y'all see that? It was marked by shifting dynasties, what? Including the Umayyad governors. the Caliphate of Cordoba in Spain, Almoravid and Almohad empires, and the final Nasrid dynasty. Remember Nasrid. And the key leaders was Tariq ibn Ziyad. They have a whole list of all the leaders' names and dynasties. Tariq ibn Ziyad. Oh, well, let's just see a picture of Tariq. There go Tariq ibn Ziyad of the Umayyad dynasty, the initial invader of Spain. He's not black or Negroid. Stop the cap. Let's get back to what I was saying. Tariq ibn Ziyad, you see his name, wasn't black. Musa ibn Nasir, 712 to 14, not black. Al-Rahman, not black. 1912 to 961, Abd al-Rahman III, not black. We're going to see, watch. 1086 to 1106, Yusuf bin Tafin, not black. Muhammad the 12th, not black. Well, show and prove, Chief X. Oh, okay. You know what? Pause my time real quick because it's PowerPoint. Never mind, I got it. Never mind, I got it, sister. It just might take a minute to pop up. Hold on. All right. All right. Come on, pop in. All right. First off, let's just show the images and the depictions of these people of the Umayyad dynasty, the Nasrid dynasty. Oh, they're here. None of them are black. None of them are Negroid. Tariq ibn Ziyad right here. I thought they were black. You mean the Syrians aren't black? Next. Musa ibn Nasir. I read the names to you. Here go their images. He's not a Negroid. He's an Arab. He's not black. He would be considered Caucasian or Caucasoid. 712 AD. Stop me when you see a black man. Here we go. Abd al-Aziz ibn Musa Nasrai. 713 to 719. He's not black. Uh-oh. Why aren't these initial invaders black? Al-Sama ibn Malik al-Kawani, 719 to 756. None of them are black. Let's move on. Emirate Caliphs of Cordoba, this period is from 756 to 1031 period. This is Abd al-Rahman. They have drawings of all these leaders and people. You didn't know? You thought that you could just keep telling people these invaders of Spain, the Umayyad dynasty, these Syrians, you thought that you could just keep lying to black folk and telling them that they're black with no proof at all. Non-black, non-Negroid. Let's stop the cap. Hisham 1 or 2, I get them mixed up, of what? Cordoba, 788 to 800. He's not black. He's not Negroid. What happened, God Energy? You couldn't find no images of these black people who conquered Iberian Peninsula, aka Spain? No, you can't, because none were black in 700 years. Al-Hakam, 11, the second, 822 AD, another non-black, another non-Negroid. Get that mind game crap out of here, talking about Ibero-Maurutians and craniometrics. Stop it. 961 to 976, Al-Hakam. Another Caucasoid, another Mediterranean, another North African of Mediterranean Africa. Let's look at these people then. Hisham, 976 to 1009. None of them were black in 700 years. Not one black leader of Moorish Spain has ever been depicted black in the history of mankind. Taifa, this is Taifa Almorid's Almohad era, 1031 to 1230. Muhammad ibn Mardinix, 1146 to 1172. He's not a Negroid. He's not a black man. Stop the cap, people. We're talking about the people who conquered Spain, aka the Iberian Peninsula, no one else. We ain't talking about no 80,000-year-old genetics and E1B1, none of that bullshit, bull crap. Let's go. Nasir dynasty, Ismail 1, 1314 to 1325. I done showed you leaders, and if I could have uploaded at least 50 of them, but I don't have that much time. I just wanted to make sure I touched every period and showed you an image of drawings of them from different periods. He's a non-black. He's a non-Negroid. What are you talking about? Then we have what you call the Moriscos baptism image. One lonely Negro right here on the top right. These are after the Moors were kicked out after 1492. Some of the Muslims got baptized and became Christians and got converted. And here's the images of them. They're not black. They got one little helpmate, servant on top of the right. But out of about 25 heads, only one black. They weren't black. Even the cathedrals on the walls is European Caucasoids. In Spain, Cordoba. Stop the catch. How much time I got?
You're at 12 minutes.
Okay. What he's talking about when he's talking about black folk becoming Moors, he's talking about like this. A Tuareg man and his slave. His slave is a sub-Saharan African descendant who was assimilated into Tuareg culture. Assimilated into Moorish culture. Taken from slave routes. All in the Sahel. In fact, since he mentioned Tuareg, let's just go here real quick. We were talking about Tuareg people who inhabit this area. The Tuareg today inhabit a vast area of the Sahara, not Spain, Libya, Algeria, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and far north of Nigeria. The Tuareg had absolutely nothing to do with conquering Spain, aka the Iberian Peninsula. He didn't know that though. This is my subject. In any black in a Tuareg tribe is a slave or servant. I'm going to get to that in my next round. Any black in any Moorish army, Moorish tribe, is a descendant of the Sahel or sub-Saharan Africa, and they were brought up as slaves and servants or tradesmen and herdsmen and blacksmiths, a low class. I'll get to that on my next thing. But Tuareg had nothing, absolutely zero, to do with conquering Spain. They weren't even in the area.
1 minute remaining.
Okay? Now, for this last minute, we went through all these lists of leaders. It's not one black Moroccan or Spanish Moorish Spain leader of any dynasty that ever existed in in the history of humans. We can also go here, a list of Umayyad governors of Al-Andalus, and they're all listed. They're all Arabs. 99%, In 700 years, you had one half mulatto mixed. His daddy was an Arab and his mama was a sub-Saharan slave concubine. And he was mixed. I ain't even going to tell you who he is. You can find out for yourself. All these people of all these time periods and all these leaders of Moorish Spain were Arab men and
Time.
Berber men.
Time. Thank you so much for your first round completion to both of the debaters. Chief X, you can go ahead, my friend, and mute out. We're going into the second round for our debaters. Once again, just to remind you, God Energy, when you come in, is this yours or is this?
No rebuttal rounds?
You're going to have the rebuttal rounds after the three. So take notes. After the 3 rounds, once you complete your 3 rounds, you're going to get a 5-minute rebuttal. So just make sure.
Okay.
I wanted to rebut him so bad. I said, just let me stick to my script. The rebuttal
yes.
round will be later.
Right. Just keep note and rebut it for your 5 minutes after the 3 rounds. That way you get everything, that you want to do. Is this yours, despite it being, is this yours, God Energy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So I will say once again, your time will begin when you start speaking for your presentation. I'll come in and let you know you have a minute remaining. So I'll mute out and let you begin your second round.
So this is perfect. French academic Andre Adam attributed the origin of the Haritan people mostly to inhabitants of the Sahara, dispelling this myth of their blackness coming straight from slavery like my opponent is trying to promote. It says, little is known about the origin of these peoples. Some of them are the descendants of slaves captured by nomads south of the Sahara. It's likely, however, that most of them are the descendants of the black populations which once lived in the Sahara. That's the significance of the Ibero-Maurutians, the Kiphians, and the Capsian peoples of 80,000, 100 million thousand years ago, Chief X. It says, we do not know when or how they adopted the Berber language, and indeed, some of them came under Arab influence. But again, it says they are descended from the original inhabitants of the Sahara, and I had clearly demonstrated who those original inhabitants were. Next slide. And it says here, the Negro Law of South Carolina, right, from the 1800s. The definition says the term Negro is confined to slave Africans, the ancient Berber and their descendants. I repeat, from the Negro Law of South Carolina in the 1800s, in section 4, it says the term Negro is confined to the slave African, in parentheses, that ancient Berber and their descendants. And these are from the same colonialists that coined the term Negro, that popularized the term Negro. And right here, it still says that the term Negro is confined to the ancient Berber, that slave African. Next. And here is source number 10, right? That shows the ethnic makeup of these Berber peoples. These are the Gobi peoples, a forensic reconstruction by the University of Chicago Project Exploration, showing these Ibero-Maurutians, showing these Kiphian peoples at Gobi, showing these Capsian peoples that all had affinity with each other, proved by Joe D. Irish, who are the ancestors of the sub-Saharan African. And right here you have the Haritan, their descendants, who Andre already said, these people are descended from the original inhabitants, being these Gobi peoples here. Next slide. So with the Jebel Erud findings of Morocco, with the Gobi people who are synonymous with Ibero-Maurutians and Capsian peoples and Kiphian peoples, and with the Haritan peoples that we just documented are not descendants of slaves, but descended from this original black lineage, we can see that North Africa has always been Black Africa. North Africa has always been Negroid Africa. Next. So it says, the Dictionary of English by Samuel Johnson, and the term Moor, the definition of the term Moor, we see right here says a Negro, a blackamoor. Right? So in this dictionary, the term for Moor, and it provides the Latin etymology of mori, Moor is defined as a Negro, a blackamoor. Speaking of blackamoor, next slide. We have this document, Too Many Blackamoors, Deportation, Discrimination, and Elizabeth I by Emily Bartels. And it says, in 1596, Queen Elizabeth issued an open letter to the Lord Mayor of London announcing that there are of late diverse blackamoors brought into the realm. Continuing down, it says, in a good pleasure to have the kind of people sent out of the land and commissioned the merchant Caspar von Senden to take up certain blackamoors here in this realm and to transport them into Spain and Portugal. Finally, in 1601, she complained again about the great number of negars and blackamoors who were always referenced as a people. And on the side, we can see the actual letter penned by her own hand. So all this thing about blackamoors only equaling jewelry, one letter dispels that. Next slide, please. And that was a side note. But let's talk about that original Umayyad expansion, because I've already mentioned the Almoravids and their black Lemtuna Berber origins. But these Umayyads spread in the late 600s, early 700s AD, part of the original Islamic expansion. So this is foundational Islam, and the Moors who invaded Spain were a part of foundational Islam. Next slide. The specific Umayyad caliph who oversaw this expansion. Let's see. The 9th century historian Al-Yaqubi describes the Umayyad caliph Al-Walid, who reigned from 705 to 715, as tall and swarthy, often translated from the Arabic terms indicating brown or dark complexion. The word used is often a variant of Adam or Udma, which refers to a brown or dark complexion, but sometimes used interchangeably with black-skinned in historical Arab descriptions. And on the side there, on the left, is the work by Al-Yaqubi, the source describing that Umayyad caliph as swarthy. Next slide. Let's look in the Dictionary of English Grammar again by Samuel Johnson. And swarthy here is dark complexion black. Dark complexion black. So Al-Walid, that Umayyad caliph, right, was described here in the Al-Yaqubi source as dark complexion black. And it says, under his rule, the Umayyad Caliphate reached its greatest extent. Key conquests include the completion of North Africa. This is the Umayyad who conquered North Africa. The Visigothic kingdom of Spain in 711 by Tariq ibn Ziyad. This is the Umayyad caliph who oversaw that expansion, who was described as swarthy, swarthy meaning dark complexion or black. So was this Umayyad caliph black and or Negro? The sources describe him as so. Next slide. Well, let's talk about the general Tariq ibn Ziyad, the black-skinned Saracen general who brought ruin upon the Visigoths. He was described as the black-skinned Saracen, and this was recorded by Rodrigo Jimenez de Rada in his Historia de Rebus Hispania of the 1200s of the Common Era. And the Umayyad period was from 711 to 1492. This falls directly within the Moorish period. So that general Tariq ibn Ziyad was described as the black-skinned Saracen. Next slide. Not just him, but when Tariq crossed the sea, he landed on the mountain that bears his name. Then he led the blacks. The army together was just called the blacks, which is why they would just be called Moors. But right here, they're specifically just coined the blacks. So then he led the blacks towards combat. When the people of Cordoba saw the terrible image, they were frightened by it. And this is from Ishaq ibn Hussein. Right. And this is from the source there, which is a little jumbled up. My apologies. But the source is from the 900s of the Common Era, well right within the Umayyad period and the early Moorish period. These are the Moors who initially invaded Spain. These are those Umayyad forces. Next slide. And that's an Arabic source. Then we have the Song of Roland, who are the Europeans describing these peoples. And it says, though Marshy Fly, his uncle, the Algalif still is nigh. The Lord of Cartagena is he, of Alfarenas, Shor and Garmali, and of Ethiopia, a cursed land. The black battalion at his command, with nostrils huge and flattened ears, outnumber 50,000 spears. Continuing on, when Roland saw the abhorred race, then blackest ink, the abhorred race, then blackest ink, more black in face, who have nothing white but the teeth alone. So this is the Song of Roland. So these are also the Europeans describing the forces of Tariq ibn Ziyad. So we have the Islamic sources describing the army of Tariq as the blacks. Then we have the European sources in the Song of Roland describing the black battalion, the hordes, blackest ink, black in face, no white amongst them except their teeth. Next slide. Then we have Abd al-Rahman I. He was of dark complexion, tall, and of noble African bearing. So what tall, dark complexion Africans are we talking about besides the Negro kind? And this is from Al-Makari Naf al-Tib, wa Gushun al-Utir al-Dib, right, from the 1600s. But that compilation is citing earlier Andalusi chronicles. So I have cited how the Umayyad Caliph was dark complexion, swarthy black. Tariq ibn Ziyad, the general who invaded and the rock Gibraltar was named after. Then Abd al-Rahman I, who established the first Umayyad emirate in Spain, all being depicted as black from the text dating to the Moorish period, as opposed to whatever my opponent is doing. Next slide. So this might be why in Introduction to African Civilizations, we cite Professor Arnold Toynbee, who noted that the primitive Arabs, who were the ruling element of the Umayyad Caliphate, called themselves swarthy people, with a connotation of racial superiority, and their Persian and Turkish subjects, the ruddy people, with a connotation of racial inferiority. So these Umayyad people were swarthy people. They were black people, and they proclaimed their blackness with a sense of superiority. Next slide. This is from Encyclopedia Britannica. According to tradition, Arabs are descended from a southern Arabian ancestor, Qattan, forebearer of the pure or genuine Arabs. So the pure Arabs are from the south, right? And a northern Arabian ancestor, Adnan, forebearer of the Arabized, right? Those northerners are Arabized Arabs, right? So going over, it says, the view that sought to visualize all Arabians as a single race has never been valid. So when my opponent goes, they were Arabian, they were from Arabia. Okay, which Arabs were they? Because it says they were not a single race. I'm going to talk about which Arabs they were. The oldest evidence indicates the presence of Africans in the Red Sea coastal plain, Iranians in the southeastern tip of the peninsula, and peoples of Armenian stock in the north. Those are those Syrians that he's talking about. But let's look at the Africans in the Red Sea coastal plain, because what's the Red Sea coastal plain? Next slide. Next slide, Sa. The Red Sea coastal plain is the Hijaz, exactly where the Quraysh are from. The Red Sea coastal plain is the Hijaz, exactly where the Umayyads are from. And we can see that the early Islamic expansion is coming exactly from this Red Sea coastal plain where those African descended Arabians are from. We can clearly see here, and just like my opponent said, they later went to Syria. Damascus became their stronghold, and that's where a little influence from Syrians came in. But these people are clearly from the Hijazi region, which is where the Red Sea coastal plain, home of the Quraysh, where that African population is, per the source Encyclopedia Britannica. Next slide. So it says, how did that blackness get there? Let's talk about it. Contemporary descendants. The Arabian Peninsula was the initial site of the out of Africa migration that occurred between 125,000 and 60,000 years ago. leading to the hypothesis that the first Eurasian populations were established on the peninsula and that contemporary indigenous Arabs are direct descendants of these ancient peoples. To assess the hypothesis, we sequence entire genomes of 104 unrelated natives of the Arabian Peninsula at high coverage, including 56 of indigenous Arab ancestry. The indigenous Arab genomes defined a cluster distinct from other ancestral groups, and these genomes showed clear hallmarks of an ancient out-of-Africa bottleneck. The first humans to step out of Africa landed in Arabia. Next slide. So we're contextualizing that blackness. The Negro in the New World by Sir Harry H. Johnson. And it says, it's quite conceivable that the great peninsula of Arabia was once populated as far as its natural conditions allowed by a primitive Negro stock. These Arabians, these Umayyad peoples are of Negro stock, which may have been later or partially exterminated by changing in unfavorable conditions. Next slide. And it says it's possible that in or on the verge of Arabia, the ancient basal stock of the generalized Negro parted. In Arabia, the Negro was there and parted, divided into two great stems of divergent immigration, one to proceed to Europe via Syria and the other to pass through Arabia to Egypt and to tropical Africa. In Arabia or in Egypt, it may be arose the differences between the long-headed African Negro and the round, short-headed Bushman. This relates to the Hadzabe peoples, those near Northeast African hunter-gatherers that made up a portion of the Ibero-Mauritian genetics. So all of this ties together. But now we're starting to see mention of Negro after Negro after Negro associated with Arabia as well.
Time.
Next slide.
Time. Thank you so much for that second round, God Energy. Please mute your mic out. We will bring Chief X in right now. Chief X, you're going into your second round, 15-minute round. When you start speaking, your time begins. I will be back to let you know you have 1 minute remaining.
So don't let my time start until I share my screen.
Yes, sir. Of course.
I just want to say that that was the most egregious lies I've ever heard on presentation.
You have to share your screen, friend.
Okay, we can start my time. That was the most egregious lies and intellectual treason I ever heard. A person mix matching time periods, geographical areas, and tricking people. Like, just totally egregious. Like, let me share my screen. Let me stay focused. All right, is my screen sharing, sis?
Yes, you're sharing your screen. Your time,
yes.
You're in 31 seconds, so you can start speaking.
This man just told us, and these people on his side are going to agree regardless because they participate in intellectual treason. He just told us the Umayyad dynasty was black folk. He told us Syrians was black folk. He said Arabs are black folk. But in the same breath, this entire community wants to tell us that the Arab slave trade, they traded Africans and black folk. And then the transatlantic slave trade, they enslaved black folk. So now we have a twist. The Arabs didn't enslave us. Black folk enslaved us. Why don't we call it the black Arab slave trade? Do you hear how nuts this man sounded? And you're going to actually believe him that the Syrians are black? This is Tariq Ibn Zabid. He said he was a black-skinned Saracen, whatever words he used. I had to shake my head. It's nothing black about Ibn Tariq, the original invader of Spain. If y'all believe him, I'm done. Now, Moors were a diverse, mixed, we're just getting the definition, population of primarily Arab, Berber, Amazigh descent from North Africa, not sub-Saharan Africa, who ruled parts of the Iberian Peninsula, Al-Andalus, and Northwest Africa, While the initial 711 invasion force consisted mostly of North African Berbers, it was led by Arab leaders and soon included substantial Arab and Black African contingents. Soon included. Later, it included some Black African contingents. How did that happen, Chief X? Okay. Berbers, let's just make this clear. Them people you see right there, aka called the Amazigh, are the indigenous inhabitants of North Africa with a presence spanning over 20,000 years. Then people you see in the Maghreb has been there 20,000 years. Not recently. Evidence of their ancestors, including cave art in the Sahara and the Maghreb, dates back to at least 10,000 BC. Right? We have genetic studies confirming Berbers as the oldest inhabitants of North Africa. We're not Berbers. Berbers aren't Negroids. Let's stop. We're going to continue. Right? So we just want to let you know how long they've been there. 20,000 years. That's well within the conquering of Spain, aka Iberian Peninsula. So let's just check it out real quick. Let's just get it on in. Now, let me just scroll. Berbers, right? Or Berber people known as the Amazigh. I've never heard one teacher y'all call master teacher say we're Amazigh people. You guys didn't even know what the Amazigh people was and start teaching on it. They're indigenous to North Africa. They predate the arrival of Arabs in the Maghreb because the Arab slave trade didn't jump off. The conquering of Spain coincides with the Arab slave trade. Not the black folk slave trade, the Arab slave trade. And they're part of the Afro-Asiatic language family. Now, it all started with the back treaty. I taught y'all about the back treaty, with Arabs who first invaded Egypt. They have a long-lasting treaty signed around 652 AD between the Christian kingdom of Moroccan Nubia and modern Sudan. The Muslim rulers of Egypt lasting 650 years. This agreement established a non-aggressive pact following a failed invasion by the Rashidun Caliphate, allowing Nubia to maintain its independence while providing an annual tribute of 365 enslaved people every year. Excuse me? The Nubians provided 300 to 365 enslaved people in exchange for goods like wheat, textile, and wine. The back treaty jumped off the Arab slave trade, where they were trading Nubians, people in Sudan. They swept across North Africa, and trade routes picked up what y'all are calling Moors, but which are really sub-Saharan African concubines that were grabbed during the slave trade. The Arab transatlantic slave trade, lasting from the 7th to the 20th century, evolved, moving over 6 million Black Africans from sub-Saharan regions to North Africa and the Arab world, not the other way around. They moved, and y'all know this, why are you lying? 6 to 10 million Black folk, Negroids, from sub-Saharan regions up to North Africa and the Arab world. Centered on camel caravan routes, this trade supplied domestic servants, soldiers, concubines, all the way up to 1960. Timeline and scope, operating for 1,000 years. The Arab slave trade coincides with the conquering of the Iberian Peninsula, starting in 700 to 1500. Captives, Black folk, were transported across the Sahara to North Africa coastal cities like Algeria, Tunis, Tripoli, and markets in the Middle East. What were they used for? Domestic service, agriculture, and military. Yes, some of them were put on the military in the front line. They were the help. And in elite harems, with a substantial number of women serving as concubines. Remember that, concubines. What trade routes linked to West Africa? They brought your butt from West Africa up to North Africa. Okay? Let's continue on. Many dark-skinned black people within the Tuareg society have historically been held as slaves or descendants of slaves, known as the Bella or the Imadin, serving light-skinned Tuareg masters. So when they say light-skinned Tuareg masters, I tried to show you the Tuareg and his black slave. That's his master. Let's continue. And lived in North Africa for centuries, with some acting as soldiers, guards, or being free individuals. So remember the words guards, concubines, Tuareg society, the Bella. The Tuareg or nomadic Berber group historically practiced a form of chattel slavery, the enslaved group often called the Bella. From Songhai, the term, right? We go on. Black agriculturalists from neighboring sub-Saharan African regions. They had the black Moors and they had what they call the white Moors. The black Moors were often used in European history to describe a variety of Muslim people from North Africa, including Arabs, enslaved populations within the Sahara, right? Let's look at who the Bella is. He had a picture of the Bella. Here's the Bella people. The Bella people. Let me blow it up so we can read. Our unique ethnic group living today in Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, all up where the Tuareg people is. Most Bella make their living as nomadic herdsmen grazing their cattle in the Belai River. Right? They were basically as serfs. To who? They were serfs to the more dominant Tuareg people, just like that Tuareg man I showed you in his black slave, who is a Bella. Their population. Let's just read a little more. Oops. A little more about them. And we're going to move on. The Bella people are an indigenous people of the Sahara area, one of the largest community in Mali, right? Some members of the Bella community were and still forced into slavery by Tuaregs. But y'all think the Tuaregs is black. But no, I'm telling you, the black Tuaregs are slaves or servants from sub-Saharan Africa due to their vulnerability stemming from economic dependence, discrimination by other communities. They have never been considered a proper community by public authorities, despite what they bring to the socio-economic political life. This is the Bella. They're a slave or a servant class amongst the Tuareg. Today's Bella people are present in the southern regions of Mali, Sougou, Tuareg-dominated north and northeast regions, right? The Bella people continue to suffer social prejudice. I'm just want to let you know who the Bella people are. They lack access to basic services and are stigmatized, vulnerable to crime. These are them Bella people. They had nothing to do with conquering Spain or Iberian Peninsula. This is part rebuttal, but just clarification to those black folk he's showing you. I'm showing you who they were. They also were called the Inanad people. Come on, screen, pop on up. Inanad, African caste. I wonder why they got caste there. Like him, he would be considered a blacksmith, but he's not a slave. But he is a lower class worker in the Tuareg society. Or, you see right here, blacksmith work in Tuareg society? It's a hereditary occupation. Right? That's him. Inanad, also refers to Enad or Trinad, have been one of the historic artisan castes in West Africa, particularly among the Tuareg people, sometimes referred to as an endogamous caste and sometimes endogamous marginalized class with the Tuareg. They're marginalized. They're not the OG Tuaregs. The Inadad are found in Niger, Mali, Sahel, and other parts of sub-Saharan Africa. They're not Mediterranean Africans. They're not true North Africans, although they had nothing to do with conquering Spain or the Iberian Peninsula. Neither did the Tuaregs. I just thought I'd speak on it because y'all thought they did. Tuareg is an what they call it, an anomaly Moorish group in the Sahel. Okay. Now, many dark-skinned black people within Tuareg society have historically been held as slaves or descendants of slaves known as the Bella or Imadin, right? Serving light-skinned Tuareg masters. Now, let me move on. This is the Iklan. They're part of these Moorish societies too. A Tuareg man of the Bella class. They assimilated. They're not the original Tuareg, the Iklan or Bella, members within the Tuareg society. So, for instance, they take on a sub-Saharan concubine, one of the Berbers, the Arab, and that concubine from sub-Saharan Africa, that slave, has an Arab daddy and a sub-Saharan African mama.
1 minute.
So it's a lot of mixture going on. This is the Heriton, another one of the servants in Morocco. They also come from a slave caste. And let me just get to this right before you cut me off. I'm just going to show the history of where they come from. Their origins, it says. Not Chief X said. Sub-Saharan slaves. They in part descend from groups native to southern Morocco in northern Sahara. In today's time, because generations and generations of them were born there through trade routes and slavery, they are not the original Moor, and they had nothing to do with conquering the Iberian Peninsula.
Time. Thank you so much, Chief X. That was the end of your second round. We are now going to the third and final round. God Energy, you have a 15-minute round for this third round. I'll come in at 14 minutes and let you know you have a minute left. Your time begins when you start speaking. Are you ready?
Yep, it says, it is possible that in or on the verge of Arabia, the ancient basal stock of the generalized Negro parted and divided into two great streams of divergent immigration. Next. The scenario of a non-Neanderthal admixed modern human population, which is basal to other Eurasians and resided in Africa, is plausible. In particular, North Africa is a strong candidate as a location for the emergence of basal Eurasians, as it shares notable connections with Eurasia. Natufians who share craniometric affinity with North Africans or Sub-Saharan Africans. And you see how the source here is making synonymous North Africans and Sub-Saharan Africans, which is the relevance of my first round, and were of the Y chromosome haplogroup E, again a throwback from my first round, which likely originated in Africa, are of basal Eurasian ancestry. So these inhabitants of Arabia are from Africa, specifically North Africa, the same as Sub-Saharan Africans. Next slide. It says the questionable contribution of the Neolithic and Bronze Age to European craniofacial form. So The Natufians are supposed to be the non-Basal African portion of the Arabians. Let's see who the Natufians are. It is a further surprise that the Epipaleolithic Natufian of Israel, from whom the Neolithic realm is assumed to arise, has a clear link to what? Sub-Saharan Africa. Interestingly enough, however, the small Natufian sample falls between the Niger-Congo group and other samples used. This placement suggests that there may have been a sub-Saharan African element in the makeup of the Natufians. Next slide. And right here, we can see the Natufian highlighted right next to their Niger-Congo cousins. They even branch off of the same root. And their other cousins on one side is the prehistoric recent North Africans. Next slide. Says descriptions of Natufian and pre-pottery Neolithic remains consistently report both bregmatic depressions among other features consistent with what? Sub-Saharan African ancestry. And there's your source. Next slide. And here's another source. Modern Saudi Arabian and Yemeni samples clustered tightly, overlapping with the three Natufian samples, and were close to the Levant pre-pottery Neolithic B and pre-pottery Neolithic C, as we just mentioned. Next slide. It says, by modeling contemporary populations using ancient genomes, we identify differences between the Levant and Arabia. The Levant today have higher European and Anatolian related ancestry. Those are those different Syrians. And Arabia having higher African and Natufian-like ancestry. So the paleogenomics and the archaeogenetics is pointing out that the Arabians have African and Natufian ancestry that the people up in the Levant do not have. Next slide. So the Arabians were blacker, right? And this is from Tahama, 5,000 to 500 BCE by Carl Phillips. It says, it is also possible that some of the obsidian found on the site reported above is of East African as well as more local origin, and thus indicative of contact across the Red Sea. And the Tahama culture is an early Hijazi culture, right, on the Red Sea coast of Arabia that we spoke about, where the Encyclopedia Britannica says the African Negroes were stationed in Arabia. This Tahama culture represents culturally what would bring those peoples there. And it says diversity of sites prevalent at this time. Also, the possible pottery analogies with East Africa are further indications of continued and perhaps increased contacts across the Red Sea, right? So the pottery that they're talking about is the black and redware pottery that we see in Nubia of the Kushites, and it is synonymous with this Arabian pottery, and they're saying that this is indicative of continued and perhaps increased contact. So there were multiple ways and multiple pieces of evidence that shows this African movement and populating of Arabia, specifically along the Red Sea coast. And right here, I have a list. So the out of Africa migration brought Negro stock into Arabia. The Natufians brought Negro stock into Arabia. The Tahama culture brought Negro stock into the Arabia. The kingdom of Punt was Afro-Arabian on the Somali coast, which brought Negro stock into Arabia. The kingdom of Aksum brought Negro stock into Arabia. The Himyarite civilization, the Jewish Himyarite civilization brought Negro stock into Arabia. The Eritrean colonization of Arabia in India, which is cited by Patricia Corona in her book Meccan Trade and the Rise of Islam, points out how the Eritreans controlled the spice route, which brought them into Arabia, colonizing, bringing Negro stock with them. And the Zanj, where Zanzibar comes from, also brought Negro stock into Arabia, with them being stationed on East Africa, Arabia, and Iraq. Example being Al-Jahiz, who was a Zanj. Next slide. And stock not being slaves, because all of this was before that Arab slavery. So this might be why Henry Field in Anthropology Memoirs, Volume 4, noted that among these Negroid features, which may be counted normal in Arabia, in Arabs, are the full, rather our Arabs are the full, rather everted lips, shortness and width of nose, certain blanks in the beard areas of the face between the lower lip and chin and on the cheeks, large, luscious, gazelle-like eyes, and dark brown complexions, and a tendency for the hair to grow in ringlets. So he's pointing out how these Arabians carry these Negro features. Although the Arabs of today is sharply differentiated from the Negro of Africa, yet there must have been a time when both were represented by a single ancestral stock. Next slide. And it says, racial types from South Arabia. This is the 11th source that is citing the Black/Negro affinity of the Arabs. It says the physical characters of the South Arabs reveal the fact that they are remarkably different from the Northern Arabs, extremely round-headed. The South Arab has a small brain capacity. This is where that scientific racism was taking place. His hair is fuzzy on the face and body, may be almost absent. The skin color is often dark and swarthy, and we know that swarthy means dark complexion, black. And it says, as opposed, the North Arab, on the other hand, is long-headed, a lighter complexion, and possesses dark brown hair with low waves. The Great Desert of Rub al-Khali serves as a formidable geographic barrier to prevent migration. So the Southern Arab and the Northern Arab looked very different. It says racial affinities of the South Arab lie in Northeast Africa. A Negroid strain occurs in the belt from Africa through South Arabia to Melanesia. So right here again, we have the Arabs being called Negroes, being called Negroid. And we've gone through 11 sources contextualizing that blackness that was put on Al-Walid, the Umayyad Caliph who oversaw the expansion, that blackness that was put on Abd al-Rahman I, who started the first Umayyad Emirate in Spain, who was described as having noble African bearing. This is that Negro African bearing that they were talking about of that Umayyad Caliph. Next slide. And back to Dana Marniche. This is from Al-Jahiz. All the people settled in the Harar besides the Banu Sulaim are black. He's talking about Arab tribes. These tribes take slaves from among the Ashban to mind their flocks and for irrigation work, manual labor, and domestic service, and their wives from among the Byzantines. So they're taking slave wives from the Byzantines. How come he never mentioned any of the white slavery that was going on? Al-Jahiz of Iraq, born 776 AD. Next slide. Right? So Al-Jahiz, let's see what he has to say, right? It says back in, and this is not Al-Jahiz, back in the 1960s, some folk historians were among the first to have discovered that after the Sulaim Halal Arab conquest of North Africa, the Tuareg emerged as a people known in Arab sources as the Sanhaja. I bring this up because we're going to see what Al-Jahiz says about those Sulaim Halal Arabs. Next slide. So these are Al-Jahiz's accolades, and this slide right here just talks about his birth, and it highlights the fact that he is of Syrian and African descent. So this man is an Afro-Arabian, he is an Afro-Eurasian, he is an Afro-Middle Easterner. Next slide. But he goes on to say, to those who despise the color black, we would reply that the excessive, lanky, thin, and reddish hair of the Franks, Greeks, and Slavs, the redness of their locks and beards, the whiteness of their eyelashes are uglier and more loathsome. So this is a source from that era talking about whiteness, looking down on it, speaking with inferiority, just like the source said the Umayyads did. There is no albinos among the blacks, but only among you. The Zans also say, we also have philosophers from among us, as well as theologists, and we have fine manners. God, may he be exalted, did not make them black in order to disfigure them. Rather, it is their environment that made them so. Look at the accurate science he's putting forth as well. The best evidence of this is that there are black tribes among the Arabs. There are black tribes among the Arabs, such as the Banu Sulaim bin Mansur. So we have primary evidence here of this contemporary source talking about the black tribes in Arabia that I've been illuminating. And it says, and that all the people settled in the Harar besides the Banu Sulaim are black. So not just the Banu Sulaim are black Arab tribes, all the people settled in the Harar besides them are black as well. These tribes take slaves from among the Ashban to mend their flocks. And I stated that already. Next slide. And it says the name Moors has come in recent years to be used in Northwest Africa for tribes that are a mixture of Berber and Arabian Sulaim Halal origin, like the men above, who stretch from Senegal to southern Morocco. So these men represent the descendants of the Sulaim Halal, those same black Arabs who then moved into Arabia. And these brothers here displaying their clear black/Negro stock. Next slide. And it says at the bottom, our blackness, O people of the Zanj, is not different from the blackness of the Banu Sulaim, comparing his people's blackness to the blackness of those Arabs. And it says, blackness of the Banu Sulaim and other Arab tribes we have mentioned. And the very blackness of the Zanj is like the total whiteness of the white men. Next slide. So here's the 14th source from Fear of Blackness, descriptions of the ethnogenesis of the original Afro-Arabian tribes, the inhabitants of the Arabian Peninsula, long after the time of Muhammad, shared the appearance of Ethiopians and other sub-Saharan Africans, as well as customs of present-day Africans. So these Arabs had a large and substantial black indigenous population, and the epicenter of Arab blackness was on the Red Sea coast, known as the Hejaz. That happens to be the same Hejaz where the Quraysh and the Umayyads descend from. Next slide. And here is their folk hero. He's like the King Arthur of Arabia, right? You have Antara ibn Saladad, right? So even their folk heroes display this blackness. So this blackness was preserved in the minds of the people. Next slide. So again, this gives greater context to Professor Arnold Toynbee, who noted that the primitive Arabs, who were the ruling element of the Umayyad Caliphate, called themselves the swarthy people with a connotation of racial superiority. They called themselves swarthy. They acknowledged their blackness, and they saw it as a connotation of racial superiority. And their Persian and Turkish subjects, like the Janissary soldiers that were enlisted, they called them the ruddy people with a connotation of racial inferiority. So that redness was said to be the racial inferiority. Next slide. And to land off, here's the context. Apparently, one can read such statement in the Kitab al-Amin, or Book of Oaths, which it says, we were sitting in the company of Abu Musa, that he called for food, and it consisted of flesh and fowl, and it was then that a person from Banu Ta'im visited him. His complexion was red, having the resemblance of a slave. So here, right here in the primary text, that redness was associated with slavery. So all of those black slaves that he's talking about, yes, that may have existed, but the idea of slavery was associated with the red people, the non-black peoples, as the primary source here has stated.
Time. Thank you so much, God Energy, for completing your third and final round. You can go ahead and mute out, and we will bring Chief X up to do his third and final round. You have 15 minutes. I will let you know when you have 1 minute left. Your time will begin when you start speaking. So you can go ahead and share your screen, Chief X.
All right, all right. So basically, he told us again that black folk enslaved black folk. There was no Arabs enslaving black folk. He claims all Arabs are black. This is wild, right? Intellectual treason at its finest. So all we learned over all this time, when we was talking about the Arab slave trade, all we was talking about was some other black folk who he says has sub-Saharan elements. So sub-Saharan Africans was enslaving sub-Saharan Africans, and sub-Saharan Africans conquered Iberian Peninsula. This is hilarious. But let me share my screen and let's go. I can sell y'all anything, it seems. Now, so just so everybody knows, and just be clear, the invasion and subsequent rule of the Iberian Peninsula, modern-day Spain and Portugal, from 711 was carried out by a combined force of Arabs and Berbers, Amazigh from North Africa, often referred to collectively as Moors. Rather than solely the Tuareg, while the Tuareg are a distinct Berber group, the initial conquest and long-term presence was dominated by various Maghrebi Berber tribes and Arab leadership under the Umayyad dynasty. They're telling you Tuareg had nothing to do with conquering Spain. I'm not sure why he's so fixated on that. Maybe he just didn't know it. Okay. So real quick, I just wanted to show you that the Tuareg did, oops, that's not the one. But here we go. Throughout history, particularly North African, Andalus, Islamic Iberia Moors, who were primarily Berber and Arab, held sub-Saharan African women as slaves, which included their use as concubines. I just wanted to show that. Now, my first presentation, I actually showed you images of the Umayyad dynasty and all the leaders and conquerors of Moorish Spain from 700 to 1400. If you're late, you missed that. The debate was over in the first round. But I just wanted to clarify some things. This picture you see on the right, a book by Stanley Lane Poole, it says Moors in Spain. Now, all black folk back in the day in the cottage community, we should love this book and had it and had no idea that this was a Orientalist painting of a servant and a slave guarding the Alhambra, right? So all these books by Stanley Lane Poole, the story of Moors in Spain, right? And he has all these images, the golden age of the Moors on the right. That was by Ivan van Cernaba. The Moors in Spain, the Moors in Spain. And he has all this Orientalism writing on it. What is this Orientalism you speak of, Chief? This is what you call Orientalism. Moorish Orientalism art. You see on the left, the Alhambra Guard, painted in 1878. This time frame has nothing to do with people who conquered Spain in 700. Okay? This is Moorish Orientalism. It was a 19th century European artistic trend. Exoticism, romanticized. It's fictional. Okay? Let's be clear. This, pop on in, is Orientalism art. But y'all thought these was Moors and of that time period. Well, the stories of, we taught the Moors how to bathe and all this old crap. No, this was 19th century Orientalism. It had nothing to do with anybody conquering Spain or anything like that. Let's continue. This is Orientalism. As you see the Moorish woman on the right, at the feet of these North Africans, Orientalism. Orientalism art refers to 19th century Western paintings and decorative arts that depicted the Middle East, North Africa, and Asian, often blending detailed realism with romanticized, exoticized, or stereotypic visions. Let's continue on. We're going to get into cultural continuity. But just so you know, I just wanted to speak on this. This was the Moorish chief on all them books that we got fooled with. It was painted in 1978. It's called the Moorish chief. And you may think he's all elegant, but he's a harem guard, a servant. What do you mean, chief? These are harem guards, servants. Orientalist painting. This is what you guys been getting fooled with over the years. Orientalism painting. So you see the Moor and these people, oh, y'all got caught up, man. Let's just see where it comes from. When we used to read these books, oh, the Moors taught black folk taught white folk, Europeans how to bathe. Those was Orientalist painting in the 1800s, and it was fiction and romanticized. You see? This is where y'all got that bull crap lie. Oh, Moors taught Europeans how to bathe. And matter of fact, they were servants. Oh, the Moors taught Europeans how to bathe. No, they were servants. And this is fiction. In the 1800s. All those book covers y'all seen and looked at are wrong. Now, let's get to some. Guess who else they are? They're also eunuchs. Remember I said they guard the harems? The chief harem eunuch was a highly influential, often African slave who managed the Ottoman harem, guarded the Sultan's women, and brigaded the gap between private place and an outside world. They were eunuchs and slaves. Eunuchs in Spain, particularly during the era of the Islamic rule, Al-Andalus, 711 to 1492. As these Arabs and Berbers were sweeping across North Africa, getting black Africans to do hard work and be slaves and eunuchs. Black Africans among the other ethnic groups. While European slaves were more common, black African slaves were imported and castrated. What were y'all? Black African slaves were imported and castrated to serve as royal bodyguards, harem supervisors, and high-ranking trusted officials. This lady right here, you can watch this on your own time, goes into eunuchs in this video. I'm sorry. Oops, I'm sorry. Oops, I paused it. I don't know why it's not stopping. Okay, Jane Hathaway, the Sultan eunuch. Check her out when you get a chance. Now, come on, pop in. You know what? I'm gonna go back to her. So, just more about the eunuch. Usually, servants or slaves were castrated to make them less threatening servants, right? It's a whole influence on them. But this is not what I want to get to. I want to get to the cultural continuity. Maybe give me an extra minute because this thing is so slow right now. Nepal is thinking on me. You hear me?
Well, do you want me to pause your time? Because I don't
Just give me an
know.
extra minute.
You mean your system is slow?
You know how it's slow. We've been talking about that all day.
Okay, what I'll do is give you this one. Like, I'll pause this for now.
Okay.
And then we can go. But I can't keep pausing it, but I'll give you this one chance to
fine.
pause, and then I'll resume your time when it comes up. Okay, time resumed.
Okay, this is what I want to get to right here. Cultural continuity. Cultural continuity is the purposeful preservation and transmission of heritage, tradition, and values across generations, which is vital for fostering a deep sense of identity, belonging, and psychosocial well-being. It provides a psychological stability, enhances social cohesion, builds resilience against trauma, and ensures the survival of unique societal practices, serves as a function and adaptive human need. So what is this cultural continuity? Moorish Spain established profound cultural unity. Oh, come on. This thing is moving so slow. Okay, here we go. Moorish Spain established profound cultural continuity with the Middle East. With who? The Middle East, not sub-Saharan Africa. Acting as a bridge for advancements in science, philosophy, and art, Islamic rule transformed Iberia, introducing Mediterranean agricultural techniques, Arabic-influenced architecture, like what? The Great Mosque of Cordoba, and culture of learning alongside significant linguistic imprint on Spanish. So all the mosques in Moorish Spain was a cultural continuity of the mosque in Damascus, Syria, of the Umayyad dynasty, the Arabs. Okay, here we go. So we showed a list of all the rulers and their images. We showed who the black folk are to these North Africans and Berbers and Tuaregs. Now we're just showing you the cultural continuity. The premier Muslim mosque in Syria before the Iberian conquest began in 711 was the Umayyad dynasty mosque in Damascus. Okay, built 705 to 1750 CE, also known as the Great Mosque, commissioned by Caliph al-Walid. On the site of former Roman temple and Byzantine church, it was a massive display of Umayyad power, setting architectural standards for future mosques. So all these mosques, the artwork, the art, the music, all is cultural continuity from Damascus, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iraq, all the way across North Africa to Moorish Spain. The architectural features. None of this was in sub-Saharan Africa. They didn't build any mosques. They're talking about Syrians in the Iberian Peninsula. Other earlier small prayer spaces existed, but the Umayyad Mosque was a definite monument in Syria before it pushed where? Into the Iberian Peninsula. Let's continue. Cultural continuity is important. Yes, the Umayyad Mosque of Damascus and the Great Mosque of Cordoba, Spain, shared significant structural and design similarities, as the latter was designed by exiled Umayyads to reflect their Syrian heritage. Both feature a hypostyle hall, a large courtyard, and share a common architectural language, including Byzantine-influenced mosaics, horseshoe arches. All this stuff is a continuation from Syria in West Asia all the way to Cordoba, Spain. It's not a cultural continuity with any sub-Saharan African people. We didn't build mosques. We didn't bring Islam. Here we go. The exiled Umayyad prince, Rahman I, the Great Mosque of Cordoba, was designed to establish new grand capital in Spain. Mimicking the splendor of the Umayyad capital, Damascus. It mimics the mosque in the West Asia. Also, there's so much to get in such a small amount of time. The Alhambra Mosque in Granada, Spain, was influenced by Near Eastern artistic and architectural traditions, specifically from Persia, Syria, and Egypt, not sub-Saharan Africa, while built by the Nasserid dynasty in Spain. I showed you people of the Nasserid dynasty and what one of the leaders looked like. Let's look at him again. Oh, come on, PowerPoint.
Time.
Let me just click on the picture real quick.
Go ahead and show it, and your time is up, and you can just end it.
Okay.
Show it. Okay, and your time.
No. Here, let me show it.
Okay, that's the picture.
I got you. No, I got you.
Okay, just letting you know your time's up.
Nasserid dynasty, 1314, 1325. This is how they looked. This Ismail one. They weren't black. They weren't Negroid.
Thank you so much, Chief X, sir. Thank you so much, God Energy, sir. We have now completed all 3 rounds. We have completed all 3 rounds with each debater. And now we are going to go into the rebuttal rounds, where our debaters will be able to address anything that they heard in the 3 rounds and they'd like to rebut. So I will start with our brother, God Energy. You have 5 minutes for your rebuttal. Like I said, once you start speaking, your time begins. I'll come in at 4 minutes and let you know you have 1 minute remaining.
Okay, so my rebuttal for round 1, it's clear that he never heard of the terms Lamtuna or Sanhaja, who are the Black Berber tribes that the Almoravids, like Abu Bakr and Yusuf ibn Tashfin, came from, right? In this first round, I have to rebut the fact that I said Berbers were sub-Saharan, not slaves, right? The Berbers were of sub-Saharan. They were Syrian influenced, right? But these Arabs are from the Red Sea coast in the Hejaz. Like you said, they were Syrian influenced, but they are from the Red Sea coast in the Hejaz. The image of Tariq was nowhere near contemporary. Actually, none of the pictures that you showed were contemporary. I showed the source that calls Ibn Tashfin black, Yusuf ibn Tashfin black. He's not showing contemporary depictions. He showed no dates. He claimed that I said Tariq was Syrian. Tariq wasn't Syrian. He was Masmuda Berber. Tariq ibn Ziyad, he was not Syrian. He showed no primary text describing them or their characteristics. You showed facsimiles drawn hundreds of years after the individuals they depict. And what you didn't realize is that those facsimiles do not match the text describing these peoples. And you gave no explanation for why. No Moorish leader was depicted black, while Abu Bakr, the Almoravid leader, was depicted black on the Portolan chart of the 1400s. And that's the Moorish period. And it's labeled Rex Bubekar. So you can't make the claim that no Moorish leader was depicted black. I showed you the primary source. It was Rex Bubekar who was depicted black and labeled Rex Bubekar. In the second round, to rebuttal, I did not say that the Syrians were black. My source said that the Armenian type was in Syria. He doesn't know the term Saracen when he talked about Tariq ibn Ziyad. When he quoted me, he had no idea what that term meant in association with Tariq. Even though Oxford said that the Moors were primarily sub-Saharan African, however marginalized my opponent wants to make them, I also clearly demonstrated that the Berbers and the Umayyad Arabs were what we call black and or Negro. So however marginalized you want to make the sub-Saharan Africans, the blackness of the Moors, I also substantiated through their Berber lineage, Abu Bakr being one, Yusuf ibn Tashfin being another. And then I demonstrated how the Umayyads themselves were black and or Negro when I referenced Al-Walid I, the caliph who oversaw the North African expansion and the conquest of Spain, also with Tariq ibn Ziyad, him being described as a black man, also with the description of Abd al-Rahman I, who was described as dark and of African bearing. right? So you can't just add all of those slaves he's talking about. Well, you could just add all of those slaves that he's talking about already to the Black Berbers and Arabs. So even if the sub-Saharan African portion were magically all slaves, which it was not, that still doesn't count out the Black Berber and Black Arab strain that was there anyway, right? So he's double wrong. And the image of Abu Bakr from the Portolan charts depicts him as looking the same as the slave in Chief X's picture of the Tuareg and his slave. I find it interesting that in Chief X's picture of the Tuareg and his slave, the Portolan chart that depicts Abu Bakr looks exactly like the slave of today's time. So I think what you've demonstrated is a switch in the power dynamic. Your third round, the fallacy was, I did not claim all Arabs were black. I mentioned the areas of Arabia where blacks were. I mentioned where the Iranians were in Arabia, and I mentioned where the Armenians were in Arabia. I doubt he has vetted the origin or date of any of those images that he showed that are supposed to represent these peoples. And the Umayyad were from the Hejaz and moved to Syria and established their capital at Damascus. But they are not Syrians. They are of the Qurayshi tribe from the Hejaz. And even what you showed from Wiki and Google AI did not trump, disprove, or even contextualize anything that I presented.
Thank you, God Energy, very much for that rebuttal. You had 15 seconds remaining, but you were very concise. I appreciate you. So now we will have our brother Chief X come forward and do his rebuttal. You have 5 minutes. I'll come in at 4 and let you know. Your time starts when you start speaking.
Is my screen sharing?
Taifa Al-Moravi.
Okay,
yes.
cool. So I showed images. He said it didn't have dates. I have dates for every image. I have dates on all the images. Oops, sorry. Masul, 712. 713. 719, 756, the Umayyad dynasty, who you keep continuing saying are black folk. You continue to say that Umayyad people, the Syrians, are black folk. I have dates 756 to 1031 on top, if you guys can see. I dated every one. Hisham 1, one of the other rulers of Moorish Spain, 2 of Cordoba, 788, 800. I have images of the actual conquerors of Spain, Al-Hakam, 822. I have dates, 961, 976. I have dates on all this. This is up top on the left. You barely can see it, 976 to 2000. We continue on with dates after dates after dates. Now, let me stop sharing my screen and rebut what you said. Can y'all see me on the screen? Now, first of all, you broke down in your initial talk about the meaning and the etymology of the word Moor, which means dark. That doesn't mean black or negroid per se. Although there were some Moors that were black or negroid, but they were the help. Maybe 1 out of 20 of them, right? So this is not about the etymology of the word Moor, which people got caught up on. This is about who a Moor is, not the definition or etymology. And we're showing you who the Moors were, Berbers and Arabs of the Maghreb, okay? Using and talking about someone is tall or someone is dark, that's mind games. That doesn't mean black. They used to say Italians are tall, dark, and handsome. When you say dark, that does not mean black. You said Abu Bakr, Malian in the 14th century. That's way after the invasion of Spain. Abu Bakr, the Malians are not invaders of Spain. They had nothing to do with that. You confused people who are called Moors in different time periods. Look at the title of the debate. You went into talking about 80,000 and 50,000 years ago, craniometrics, Pleistocene, Ibero-Maurusians, Kithians, Proto-Bantu, and all this old crap to throw people off. We're not talking about nothing 10,000, 20,000, 80,000 years ago. You're off course, mixing and matching and confusing the people. Talking about they have some sub-Saharan element. What the hell does that mean? Okay, You brought up some South Carolina law and blackamoors, and Queen Elizabeth said this in 1601. 1601 is after 1492 and damn near 1,000 years before the invasion of Spain. So you bringing up stuff 1,000 years in 1601 after the invasion of Spain, and you confusing people and tricking people. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about no South Carolina law, blackamoors, Queen Elizabeth. We're not talking about none of that. You said the Umayyad dynasty is black and Negroid people. They're not. They're Syrians. Literally Syrians. Syrians are black folk. Nice try. You also brought up a prehistoric time, Neolithic, ancient genomes. What are you talking about? That's why I wasn't going to deal with no kind of genetics, because I knew that was going to be the mind game. You talked about the Tahawk, 5,500 years AD. I'm like, what is this? And you keep thinking because you say Africa, that means people are going to say, oh, that means black. Because you said who? Someone was black in Arabian.
1 minute remaining.
Or African and Arabian. Well, North African, say that. That distinguishes a sub-Saharan African from a North African. North Africa has never, ever been black. And you said North Africa has always been black. That's a lie. This is why you can't name one black tribe or nation that is indigenous to North Africa besides anyone's hanging on the southern border. You said Syrian African descent. That's what you said. North African descent and Syrian descent is what you mean. North African is still African. The images you showed of black Muslims were Muslims that was taken after the slave trade. So they have black tribes, because I told you they were taking Africans up into North Africa and into Near East. So those black Muslims you were talking about were black Muslim tribes that are free slaves now.
Time. You can finish your last statement.
Yeah, so those people you were showing were people who were freed after slavery in the Middle East. They weren't original tribes there, because there never were any black people in Saudi Arabia prior to the Arab slave trade.
Thank you, Chief X. Thank you so much, Chief X. Thank you so much, God Energy. We have gotten through our rebuttal round after the 3 rounds that the 2 debaters have presented. Thank you so much, everybody, being here. This is a really great, informative debate. Now we are going to go into the question and answer round. And what we can do now, God Energy, if you come forward, Chief X, you can stay unmuted. But God Energy, you have 3 questions that you can ask Chief X. Now, I'd like to do this right now, just, impromptu. You can either do 3 straight questions and try to just a yes or no from you guys. I don't want you to go back and forth. You can do 3 straight questions, or you can go back and forth, 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3. Which one do you want to do before we get started with this?
I prefer maybe a question apiece and go back and forth.
Okay, God Energy. Okay, is that good with you? Back and forth?
I mean, I would have preferred 3 straight through, but we can do back and forth just for variety.
Okay, so we've decided that they're going to go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Each one of you, when you ask your question, ask the direct question. Try to keep it concise, just for good sportsmanship. And then the other person has up to a minute to answer that question. So God Energy, without further ado, let's go ahead and have you ask Chief X your first question.
Chief X, what are Saracens?
Chief X, you have 1 minute. Once you start speaking, your minute begins.
I'm not exactly sure who our Saracens are, but they're people of West Asia.
Okay, that's your final. You're done with that, right? Okay. Your turn, Chief X.
Okay. What is... this is what I need to know. Do you feel the Tuareg people were part of the conquering of Spain, aka the Iberian Peninsula?
God Energy, you have 1 minute to answer that question. Your time begins when you start speaking.
Great question. It was the Almoravid ruler Abu Bakr, Rex Bubekar, and Yusuf ibn Tashfin, another Almoravid leader, both being from Lamtuna and Sanhaja Berber tribes. So the Almoravid leadership are from Berber tribes who are Lamtuna Tuareg people. And a good proxy for their morphology would be the Barabish people of today. So yes, as Lamtuna and Sanhanja under Rex Bubekar, Abu Bakr, and Yusuf ibn Tashfin. Yes, sir, most definitely.
Thank you. God Energy, you're going into your second question. Go ahead.
Yeah, how does your argument reconcile the genetic discontinuity between the foundational population of North Africa, like the Ibero-Maurusians, the Kithians, and the Capsians, and the modern population of North Africa today, without conceding to my point?
Chief X, you have 1 minute to answer that question. Your time starts when you start speaking, sir.
Can he repeat the question, please?
Sure.
How does your argument reconcile the genetic discontinuity, not continuity? How does your argument reconcile the genetic discontinuity between the foundational populations of North Africa, which I demonstrated were sub-Saharan African Negro, like the Ibero-Maurusians is an example, versus the modern populations of North Africa? There is a discontinuity between the modern populations of North Africa and those ancient populations. How does your argument reconcile that without conceding to my point?
Do you understand the question?
Yeah, I understand. I understand the question. I understand
the time starts when you start speaking. You have a minute.
I understand the trick question, because nowhere in my presentation did I speak on genetics at all. So I don't have to reconcile anything. I used 3 common sense things, and genetics wasn't going to be a part of it at all. I showed images of all the leaders. I showed you every leader from 700 all the way to 1400. Then I went to cultural continuity, things like art, mosque, music, right? Then I showed you who was and who wasn't an original North African, and who was a slave and who wasn't a slave. And that's what I did. So I can't, my presentation can't reconcile that, because I'm not even speaking on genetics. Now, anything you're talking about in Natufian, that's also way up there in West Asia. That has nothing to do with sub-Saharan Africa. It's a nice little try to fool the audience and connect and say Natufians are sub-Saharan Africans, but that's a blatant lie. But genetics are my field, so I'm not even going to go too much into that.
Thank you very much. Chief X, you're going into your second question. Go ahead.
My second question. In your opinion, from your presentation, because what I got from it, I have very, very, very good listening comprehension. I've heard who you call Black and Negro throughout this entire thing, and all these Black Arab tribes and things like that you're talking about, and these original people and all these old. Are you saying that these people, which you call Negro and Black, were part of the Arab slave trade, these Black Arabs, and they enslaved other sub-Saharan Africans and Black Africans? So you're saying Black folk enslaved Black folk? Is this what you're saying? Because that's what you said.
God Energy, do you understand the question before I tell you your time starts?
I understand the question perfectly. It's a great question.
Time starts right now, brother. Go ahead.
The answer is yes.
No, okay. So you don't want to. You have a minute.
No, it was a straightforward question with a straightforward answer. Yes.
Okay, great. So now, God Energy, you're going into your third and final question. Go ahead.
So, Chief X, considering the dates on the images that you've shown are dates representing the individuals in the images, not the date that the image was produced. Considering that fact, how are your sources more authoritative than the 8th through 14th century texts that I presented that show the demographic and morphology of these peoples who existed in the 8th to 14th century? How are your hundreds-year later facsimiles more authoritative than the primary text that I presented?
So,
Your time starts when you start answering, Chief X. You have a minute.
okay. So, people in these times built elaborate mosques. I showed one mosque that became a cathedral in the Moriscos, which are Moors, and they had images of white folk and North Africans on the wall, and not one of black folk. The ability to build these elaborate mosques, they also drew and had many forms of art and depictions of their leaders and people. Although some depictions may have been drawn 100 or 200 years later by some historian, they also have current pictures. Like Ibn Tariq Ibn, it was about 10 pictures of him in his time and in later times. I can only choose one.
Time. Thank you so much, Chief X. You're going into your final question. Go ahead, sir.
Since you're mentioning Abu Bakr, I think I asked you this one already. What do you think the continuity, the cultural continuity in Moorish Spain came from? Sub-Saharan Africa or the Near East, aka West Asia?
You have a minute, God Energy, when you start speaking.
So my source also stated that the early Umayyads and the primitive Arabs, specifically Diane Marniche, she points out that African cultural practices were spread throughout Arabia. Aside from that aspect, the Islamic practices brought by the Umayyads is largely what was preserved in Moorish Spain, which is why the Black Moors of Spain are so important to the origin of Islam, because it is in Moorish Spain where the original form of Islam, it was in Spain amongst these Black Moors where the original preservation of Islam was preserved, the Umayyad version, where the Qibla was not pointed to Mecca. The Umayyad Muslims in Spain preserved that. And if you analyze the Great Mosque, you can see that its Qibla does not point to Mecca. So the culture that was preserved in Andalus was a great preservation of the original Umayyad version of Islam, where Islam was changed by the Iranian Abbasids, who then create extra Quranic texts. So I actually think the cultural continuity is Islamic.
Thank you so much, God Energy. Thank you so much, Chief X. We have completed the question and answer round. We're going into our final closing of the two debaters. I hope everyone enjoyed this as much as I have enjoyed it. Let's go ahead right away. You have 5 minutes, God Energy, to give us your final closing to your debate. And when you start speaking is when your time begins. I'll come in and let you know you have a minute remaining. Go ahead.
Thank you. In closing, the fallacy is the thought that modern tools strip away bias. The ruling class, including the Berber and Arab tribes, the commanding generals and rulers, were what we call Black and or Negro. Modern algorithms and encyclopedias are actively misrepresenting population demographics, essentially erasing the physical descriptions of the primary sources. Historically documented physical descriptions are being replaced with non-racialized, purely religious geographic interpretations of the word Moor, while at the same time promoting a catch-all racial identity of that demographic, of Arabs. But that term is ambiguous because Arab has no one distinct racial type. It's an algorithm-driven erasure of Black history that doesn't serve the political and racial narratives of Europeans and Arabs today. So that's why we have this curating of the evidence. The terms weren't used by foreigners to describe the other. These primary texts are written by individuals describing their own generals and leaders. And the sources show that the term Black in that time did come with a sense of racial superiority. So they weren't using this term to describe ruggedness or any other descriptive of demeanor. And dismissing primary sources in favor of matching modern demographic realities is the act of digital sanitization. Consensus-based editing based on the bias practices defining the search engine optimization. So this is why the brother can't bring any sources and only relies on Wikipedia and AI Google reviews, because that is those modern digital databases that have been sanitized. So regardless if the truth of the Moors is painted in galleries, etched in heraldry, proclaimed in poetry, works of fiction, and historical documents contemporary to that time, when you search digital databases, the algorithms prioritize simplified, contemporary leaning to our time definitions. So all the consensus has to do is favor secondary sources over primaries. The Moors were undoubtedly a group that became and is associated with mixing. The undeniable origins of the ruling class and other historical definitions of the Moors were firmly rooted in a Black and or Negro identity. The evidence I've presented shows that specifically the Moors that invaded Spain, down to the individuals, were Black and or Negro. Chief X and the like are trying to rewrite this history. The digital curation, the redefining, the biased consensus-based search engine optimization is perpetuating the erasure of the historical context of the Moors for the sake of, on the surface level, appeasing the modern racial demographics of the Middle East, and on a deeper level, perpetuating the stereotype of Black inferiority. Unfortunately, by intellectually and politically aligning himself with this position, our brother here has made himself synonymous with the like of the free slave-holding people of color on the island of Haiti, who allied with French General Rochambeau against the rebelling slave population in Haiti. And we're here to amend that, to save our brother from that. So to combat this egregious assault meant to set Black people back hundreds of years, we demonstrated that the Lamtuna Almoravid Berbers were Black. The Sanhanja Almoravid Berbers were Black. Abu Bakr, the Almoravid ruler, was Black. Yusuf ibn Tashfin, the Almoravid leader, was Black. The Blackness of these Berbers were what we call that of Negroes or Sub-Saharan Africans. We showed that the Umayyad Caliph Al-Walid, who oversaw the Muslim expansion into North Africa and Spain specifically, was Black. We proved that the General Tariq ibn Ziyad, who led the expansion into Spain and landed on a mountain which still bears his name, was Black. We showed that the Umayyad Caliph, who established the first Umayyad Emirate in Spain, Abd al-Rahman III, was Black. We showed that the army led by General Tariq ibn Ziyad was Black. And lastly, that the Blackness of the Qurayshi Umayyad rulers were rooted in a Negroid sub-Saharan African origins in the Hejaz along the Red Sea coastal plain were Black. Check.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much, God Energy. Thank you for that powerful closing. I'm sure we're going to get a powerful closing from our brother Chief X as well. Chief X, come on in, please, and give us your final words with your closing of 5 minutes. I'm going to just let you go all the way to the end and say, I'm not going to step in and say 1 minute. So your time starts when you start. You have 5 minutes for your closing, Chief X.
Okay. So the question was, who conquered Spain, basically? Were they Negroid and or Black folk? We showed everybody who conquered Spain, all the leaders. And I just got to do this one more time because this is very important. We went through the list of names of all these leaders. He's claiming about 8 of them were Black. I will pay anybody $100 if they can show me any of these leaders of Moorish Spain were Black and show me an image of them. He lied. We went through this entire list. Come on, pop in. Come on and pop in. Abdul Rahman and the time frames. All these people of every area and not one in 700 years were black. Not one of these men here are black. You can make up anything you want, but you're lying on these men. Not one is black. This is all the caliphs of Cordoba. All the way up. They got all these listings all the way up to 1400. I shared their images. Every century, basically, I shared their leaders. 0 are black or Negroid. 0. Don't let all that pontification he's doing fool you. He did not show one black leader of Moor Spain. Not one. Not any black folk on walls and artwork in Moorish Spain. Let me get back to y'all. The egregiousness of these lies, and someone said you can verify, no, he was cutting and pasting on those clips he was asking sa.neter to share. You guys can't even catch it. He was adding words and putting this next to this. You guys couldn't even catch it. Like, I'm showing cultural continuity. But the only thing he can do is lie and say, hey, black folk built all them mosques in Syria. And they brought all that culture and built the same mosque in Granada, Spain, the Alhambra. He has to lie on purpose and pontificate to fool you guys. Syrians ain't black. Umayyad dynasty is not black. Saudi Arabians ain't black. They enslaved black folk. And I got a whole bunch of people on record talking about the Arab slave trade, and not one time did anyone ever say in the history of the conscious community that these Arabs and these Syrians that was enslaving black folk in the Arab slave trade are black people. No one has ever said that in the history of the conscious community until today. You gonna let him get away with that? You gonna let him get away with telling y'all black folk in the trans-Saharan slave trade enslaved black folk and made it over to Spain? Intellectual treason, and we need to get a rope and somebody set up the gallows. We got a hanging at high noon tomorrow for deceit, intellectual treason, debauchery, and wickedness in high places. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Chief X. Another powerful closing to a powerful debate. This, if you could just go ahead and mute out. This was excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We are just on a roll with these awesome debates. Thank you to God Energy. Thank you to Chief X. And thank you to the supporters and audience who are fully engaged. And last but not least, of course, thank you to sa.neter for making these debates possible. So we have completed the debate between God Energy and Chief X. Don't think this is the end, because y'all know what happens after this. We have our after shows. We have our after parties. And they don't just last tonight. They keep going all week, maybe all month.
And just to let the people know, I'm having fun. I'm not mad. Peace to God Energy, bro. Salute to you. You're a formidable partner. I'm not mad at nobody. Love
Peace,
everybody on
brother.
there. Love
Oh, I
everybody.
know, brother. This was great. This was great. And I enjoyed the passion. I enjoyed the showmanship that you brought. I know it's nothing personal. I respect the energy, and I respect you as an opponent. So this was great. And thank you for giving a young brother like me the opportunity to step up to the plate and knock your head off.
That was good. All right, let's let the Don King of Consciousness and Don King of Debates come on in and tell us what time it is.
We're already live over there, so you want to pop in? I don't call it the after party no more, Nepal. It's called the aftermath of the debate. The aftermath. That's
Got it. Aftermath.
not an after party. It's the aftermath.
The
But I want to
smoking
say,
gun.
I want to say I'm proud of my brother, my young brother. Very proud of you. You have put down an excellent debate. You had came through with excellent sources, brother.
I appreciate it.
And I'm proud of my brother Chief X as well. I want to say, Chief X, both of you brothers have put it down, man.
Oh yeah, this was
Both
a
of
good
you
one.
brothers have went in. For those of y'all who missed it, y'all don't know what y'all doing, man. I keep telling you,